My sister accidentally planned her wedding the same weekend as our brother's yearly family reunion. When she demanded everyone change their plans, it turned into the argument that shattered us. If you'd told me last year that a wedding could blow up 20 years of family tradition, I would have laughed. My sister Chloe has always been dramatic, but what she pulled this summer wasn't drama, it was strategy. Every 4th of July weekend, our family meets at the lake house. It's the only time all the cousins, aunts, and uncles show up. My brother, Alex, plans it like a military operation. Rental confirmations, grocery lists, playlists, even color-coded lawn games. The rest of us just fall into place. It's loud and exhausting and weirdly comforting. By March, flights were booked, the cabins paid for, and Alex had a group text called Lake Crew 2025. Then Chloe announced her engagement. The first thing she said after showing the ring was, "We found a venue that's available July 5th. Alex actually choked on his coffee. "That's reunion weekend," he said. Chloe smiled if that explained nothing. "I know, but the place is perfect. You'll see the pictures. It has a barn and fairy lights." Mom blinked a few times, the way she does when she's calculating how to sound supportive. "Sweetheart, that's the same weekend we'll all be at the lake." Chloe shrugged. "Then everyone will already be home. It's convenient." It wasn't convenient. It was chaos waiting to happen. But nobody wanted to be the first to tell her no. 2 days later, the group chat exploded. Alex tried to reason with her. "We've had those cabins reserved for months." Chloe replied, "Well, a wedding trumps burgers and beer." The cousins started choosing sides. Aunt Carol texted me privately, "Is Alex really making your sister change her wedding date?" When I told her no, Chloe must have spun the story differently. By the end of the week, I stopped checking my phone because every message felt like an argument waiting to start. Then Chloe called me. "You need to talk to Alex," she said, skipping hello entirely. "What about?" "He's being difficult. He keeps telling people the reunion is still happening." "I thought family would support my wedding." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Chloe, people already paid for flights. Maybe there's another weekend." She cut me off. "This is the only date the venue has. Why is everyone acting like I did this on purpose?" That last line stuck with me. On purpose. She said it before anyone accused her of anything. After that call, I tried to stay out of it. I told both sides I'd be there for whatever I could make. But neutrality in our family is basically betrayal. Chloe called again a week later. "You're my sister. You should be helping me," she said. "I am. I'm coming to the wedding, but you're not backing me up. I'm not picking sides. Then you're against me." And just like that, I was the enemy. Mom started crying on the phone every other night, saying she felt like she was losing both her daughters. Dad stayed silent, pretending to focus on yard work. Alex stopped answering Chloe's messages altogether. By June, invitations went out anyway, hand-delivered just to rub it in. The date, Saturday, July 5th. Underneath in small cursive, "Please join us for a weekend of celebration and love." That line made me laugh out loud. Love, right? The family reunion group shrank overnight. Cousins who'd sworn they wouldn't cave suddenly had schedule conflicts. Alex kept pretending it didn't bother him, but I could see it in the way he triple-checked the headcount for the cabins. The week before the holiday, Chloe called again. I almost didn't answer. "Hey," she said too casually. "You're coming early, right? I need help with decorations." "I can't," I told her. "I'm going to the lake Friday to help Mom and Alex set up." She went quiet. "So you're choosing the reunion?" "I'm going to both. I'll drive back Saturday morning." "That's not good enough," she snapped. "You should be there the whole weekend." "I'm doing my best." "Chloe." "Yeah, your best never seems to be for me." She hung up before I could answer. I sat there staring at my phone, feeling that familiar mix of guilt and anger that only siblings can trigger. I didn't sleep the night before the reunion. My phone kept lighting up with messages from Chloe, half emotional, half passive-aggressive. "I hope the burgers are worth it," was the last one before she went quiet. Friday morning, I packed the car with coolers and folding chairs and tried not to feel like a traitor. The drive to the lake was 3 hours of silence and second-guessing. I told myself that showing up for both events was fair. I'd spend Friday at the reunion, drive back early Saturday for the wedding, then return Sunday for the rest of the weekend. A reasonable compromise, right? When I pulled into the driveway, Alex was already hauling boxes out of the garage. He looked worn out, sunburned, tired, pretending not to care. "You made it," he said, voice flat. "Wouldn't miss it," I said. He gave me a look. "Chloe texted me last night. Said you're leaving tomorrow morning." "Yeah." He nodded once, clipped. Figures. For a moment, I almost told him to forget the reunion and come to the wedding with me. But then he opened a cooler full of marinated chicken and said, "I've been doing this since I was 16. She can't take it away." That shut me up. The rest of the day felt like walking on a tightrope. Every conversation somehow drifted back to the wedding. Aunt Carol kept saying, "It's such a shame Chloe's missing this," while my cousin Megan whispered, "She did it on purpose." No one said it too loud, but everyone knew it was true. By sunset, the backyard smelled like smoke and sunscreen. Dad lit sparklers for the little kids while Mom hovered by the grill, pretending not to check her phone. Every few minutes, it buzzed. Finally, she sighed, stepped away and said softly, "She's upset. She says no one cares enough to come." Alex didn't look up from the grill. "She made that choice." Mom's voice cracked. She's still your sister. He turned the chicken with the tongs. And you're still her enabler. That shut everyone up. Later that night, I found Alex sitting alone on the dock. Fireworks from another lake reflected off the water. He said, "Do you ever think we'd be better off if she just stayed mad and stopped talking to us?" I didn't answer. It was too cruel, even if part of me thought he was right. When I went inside to charge my phone, I saw a missed call from Chloe. Then a voicemail. Her voice tight, rehearsed. "I hope you're having fun. Just remember who shows up for you when it's your turn." I deleted it without listening twice. The next morning, I left before sunrise for the wedding. The drive felt like crossing enemy lines. The venue was an hour away, a renovated barn wrapped in string lights. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. The kind of curated beauty that makes you nervous to breathe. Chloe met me in the dressing room, wearing a silk robe and a brittle smile. "You made it," she said, like I'd barely passed a test. "Of course," I said. "You look amazing," she laughed once. "You're just saying that because you feel guilty." I almost turned around and left right there. But then Mom came up behind her with a box of flowers and hugged me so tight I couldn't. The ceremony itself was beautiful, I won't lie. Evan looked happy, and Chloe glowed in that way she always wanted to be seen. But when the officiant said, "Does anyone object?" I swear half the room held its breath. At the reception, people kept asking about the reunion. Some said they missed it, and others whispered about Alex refusing to come. Every conversation felt like a minefield. By the time the cake was cut, Chloe was tipsy enough to find me near the bar. "So," she said, smiling too widely, "did Alex finally forgive me?" I shook my head. "He didn't come." Her smile cracked. "He really chose a barbecue over my wedding." "It's not just a barbecue." She leaned in close, voice low. "Then maybe next year he can celebrate alone." That's when I realized she wasn't sorry. She'd booked that date knowing exactly what it would cost. When I drove back to the lake that night, fireworks were still going off in the distance. My phone buzzed with another message from her, a photo of her and Evan kissing under sparklers. The caption read, "Best day ever." I turned the phone face down and kept driving. By the time I made it back to the lake, it was close to midnight. The sky was heavy with clouds and leftover fireworks smoke. Everyone else had gone to bed. The dock lights were still on though, and I saw Alex sitting there, staring at the dark water like it owed him answers. He didn't look up when I walked over. I sat beside him quietly. The boards creaked under us. For a minute, neither of us said anything. "How was it?" he asked finally, his voice so calm it almost didn't sound like him. I hesitated. "Beautiful. Complicated." He huffed out a laugh that wasn't really a laugh. "That sounds about right." I told him about the barn, the lights, the vows. I didn't tell him how Chloe had looked when I said he wasn't coming, or how she tried to pretend it didn't sting. I didn't tell him about the way she'd looked at me when I left, like I was abandoning her. Again, she made her choice, he said again, like it was a mantra. I know. We sat there until the bugs got bad and the air turned cold. I went to bed feeling like I hadn't really slept in weeks. The next morning, Mom was already up making pancakes. She looked smaller somehow, her shoulders rounded. When I kissed her cheek, she said, "I wish you'd brought pictures." I didn't take any, I said. She just nodded, stirring batter. "Your sister texted me. She said she felt your absence more than Alex's." That hit me harder than it should have. I sat down at the counter, tracing circles in the wood with my finger. "She'll cool off." "Maybe," Mom said, but she didn't sound convinced. Later that afternoon, I scrolled through social media and saw Chloe's new post, "The best day of our lives. Surrounded by love, even if some couldn't make it." The last line was a direct shot and everyone knew it. The comments section was full of congratulations mixed with thinly veiled judgment. "Family should always come first," someone wrote. I closed the app. By Sunday, the reunion felt different. Hollow, quieter. People were trying too hard to act normal. Alex cooked enough food for twice as many people as showed up. Dad played cards with Uncle Rob and avoided eye contact with everyone else. Mom flitted between smiling and almost crying. I wanted to fix it, to call Chloe and make her talk to Alex, but I knew better. Every time I tried to play mediator, I ended up being the villain. When I got home that night, there was a message from Chloe waiting for me. "Hope the reunion was worth missing half my wedding weekend. Don't bother calling. I need space." I threw my phone onto the couch and let out a sound I didn't recognize. Half laugh, half sob. Weeks passed before we talked again. I saw photos online of Chloe and Evan's honeymoon. Tropical beaches, perfect smiles. She didn't reach out when she got back. Mom tried to organize a family dinner to celebrate the newlyweds, but Chloe said she was too busy. Alex said he wouldn't come anyway. That dinner never happened. Months later, it was Thanksgiving. Chloe finally showed up, but late. She walked in wearing an expensive coat and that same brittle smile. Everyone pretended nothing was wrong, but the air was tight. During dinner, she started talking about her honeymoon again, loudly, directed mostly at Mom. Alex barely looked up from his plate. At one point, Chloe asked, "So, when's the next reunion? Maybe we can plan our first anniversary trip around it." The table went silent. Alex's fork clinked against his plate. "There isn't one," he said flatly. "What do you mean?" He looked up, eyes cold. "The cabins are canceled." "I'm done organizing it," Mom gasped. Dad muttered, "Alex," but he didn't stop him. Chloe blinked. "You can't just cancel a family tradition." "You already did," he said. Then he stood up and walked out. The silence that followed was suffocating. Chloe stared after him, her mouth slightly open. She turned to me. "Did you know about this?" "No," I said quietly, "but I can't say I'm surprised." She looked like she wanted to argue, but instead she just whispered, "I didn't mean for it to go this far." I believed her, but it didn't matter anymore. When When I left that night, I realized something. Chloe always wanted to win, but this time there was no prize. Just an empty lake house, a canceled reunion, and a family that didn't feel like one anymore. And for the first time, I wondered if we'd ever get it back. Winter came faster than I expected, maybe because everyone was still avoiding each other. Text messages went unanswered, group chats stayed silent. Mom tried a few times to start conversations, but the replies were short, polite, and cold. The air between us all had turned thin and brittle, like glass waiting to crack. It wasn't until January that Chloe reached out to me again. Her name popped up on my phone while I was grocery shopping. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Hey," she said. Her voice was soft, cautious. "Can we talk?" I took a breath. "Sure," she hesitated. "Can we meet? Just us?" We met at a coffee shop halfway between her place and mine. She showed up looking tired, her hair pulled into a messy bun, eyes rimmed red. It was the first time in months she hadn't looked perfect. For a second, I saw my little sister again, the one who used to sneak into my room to borrow clothes and tell secrets in the dark. She stirred her coffee without drinking it. "I didn't realize how bad things had gotten," she said finally. "Mom told me about the canceled reunion." "Yeah," I said quietly. I didn't mean for that to happen. I nodded, but didn't say anything. There was a part of me that wanted to hug her, and another part that still burned with resentment. Chloe sighed. "I was trying to prove something. I don't even know what anymore. Maybe that I mattered as much as Alex. Or maybe I just wanted a day that was mine." "That's fair," I said. "But you picked the one weekend that wasn't just his. It was everyone's." She looked down at her coffee. "I know." We sat in silence for a bit. Then she said, "Do you think he'll ever forgive me?" "I think he wants to. But he's tired of being the one who has to fix things." She nodded slowly. "I get that." For a moment, it felt like we were rebuilding something fragile. But then she said, "You could help, you know. Talk to him for me." And just like that, the air changed. The same old pattern. I shook my head. "No, Chloe, you need to talk to him yourself." Her mouth tightened. "You've always taken his side." "No, I've just stopped taking yours when you're wrong." She looked like she wanted to argue, but instead she whispered, "I don't know how to fix this." "Then start with an apology," I said. We left it at that. Weeks passed. Chloe didn't reach out to Alex. He didn't reach out to her. I tried to stay out of it, but Mom kept pulling me back in. Updates, questions, suggestions. Every time I said I didn't want to get involved, she said, "But you're the only one they both listened to." That wasn't true anymore. In March, Mom organized a small birthday dinner for Dad. Chloe promised she'd come. Alex said he might. I didn't believe either of them until we were all sitting at the same table for the first time in nearly a year. The tension was thick. Chloe brought a fancy cake. Alex brought silence. I kept the conversation alive by talking about work, the weather, and anything that wasn't the reunion. Halfway through dinner, Mom excused herself to the kitchen. I followed her and found her wiping her eyes with a dish towel. "I just wanted one nice night," she whispered. "One meal where my kids aren't fighting." I hugged her. Maybe this is how it starts. When we went back to the table, Chloe was staring at Alex. "I'm sorry," she said suddenly. The words sounded shaky, uncertain. "I know I ruined the reunion." I didn't think about how much it meant to everyone. Alex didn't look up right away. When he finally did, his eyes were tired. "You didn't ruin the reunion," he said. "You ruined the reason for it." No one spoke after that. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. She nodded once, stood up, and left. The sound of the front door closing echoed through the house. Dad sighed. "Well, that went about as expected." Mom sat down, her hands trembling. "Why can't you two just forgive each other?" Alex stared at his plate. "Because she doesn't want forgiveness. She wants to win." That night, I lay in bed replaying it all in my head. I kept thinking about Chloe's face when she said sorry, how much it must have cost her to admit it, and how much it cost Alex not to accept it. Sometimes I wonder if families ever really recover from things like this, or if we just learn to talk around the damage. We're all still orbiting each other, but never as close as before. The reunion's gone, the wedding's over, and what's left is a silence that feels permanent. Still, a part of me hopes next summer someone will send a message in the old group chat, Lake Crew 2026, and maybe, just maybe, one of them will say yes. Summer came back around, slower this time. The lake house sat quiet for months. Weeds grew through the cracks in the dock, and the mailbox filled with flyers from rental companies who didn't know or didn't care that no one was going back there. I drove up one weekend anyway. The air smelled like pine and rain, the kind of scent that makes you remember things you wish you could forget. The key still fit in the door, and everything inside was frozen in time. The guest book from last year's reunion sat open on the counter. The last entry was mine. "See you all next summer." I laughed when I saw it, a soft, tired laugh that caught in my throat. The fridge still had a half-empty bottle of mustard. The porch still creaked in the same spot. It felt like walking through a ghost version of my family. I stayed the night alone, built a fire, made tea, sat on the dock until the stars came out. For the first time in months, I let myself think about all of it. The wedding, the reunion, the silence that followed. I didn't cry. I just let the night sit with me, quiet and patient. The next morning, I texted both of them. "Hey, I'm at the lake. It's still here if anyone wants to see it." I didn't expect a reply. Alex didn't text back. Chloe didn't either. I packed up and was about to leave when I heard gravel crunching outside. I walked out onto the porch and there was Chloe, standing by her car, wearing sunglasses glasses and holding 2 coffees. I didn't think you'd actually come, I said. She shrugged. Me neither. She handed me a coffee and looked around. It's smaller than I remember. Everything is, I said. We sat on the porch steps, sipping in silence. The sun was high and the lake glittered like glass. After a while, she said, I tried calling Alex. He didn't answer. He will, I said. Eventually. I don't think he will, she said quietly. Not this time. I didn't argue. Instead, I said, you could leave him a message. Something honest. No defenses, no excuses, she nodded. I already did. I told him I missed him. I told him I hated how things ended. I told him I was scared he wouldn't want me in his life anymore. What did he say? Nothing yet. The way she said it broke my heart a little. For all her stubbornness, Chloe had always been the one who felt things deeply and hid it badly. We spent the afternoon cleaning up the cabin, throwing out old food, sweeping cobwebs, and opening windows. It felt like breathing again. At one point, Chloe found a photo of us from the reunion 2 years ago. All 3 of us, wet from swimming, laughing. She stared at it for a long time. I didn't realize how much I needed this place, she said. I think we all did. Before sunset, we sat on the dock with our feet in the water. The air smelled like cedar and sunscreen. For the first time since everything happened, it didn't hurt to remember. Then a car door slammed behind us. We both turned. Alex was walking down the path, hands in his pockets, expression unreadable. For a second, none of us moved. Chloe stood first. Hey, she said, voice shaking. He stopped a few feet away. Mom told me you were up here. Yeah, I just wanted to see it again. He looked around. It looks good. We cleaned up a little, I said softly. Alex nodded, then looked at Chloe. Got your message. Her breath hitched. And, he sighed, you were right. I didn't want to talk to you. I didn't know how. Every time I thought about it, I just got mad all over again. I know, she said. You had every right. He looked at the lake, then back at her. But I don't want to stay mad forever. I'm tired. Chloe took a small step forward. Me too. He let out a shaky breath. You hurt a lot of people, Chloe, but I miss you. She started crying. Not loud, just quiet tears that fell without her trying to stop them. I miss you too. They stood there like that for a while, awkward, raw, but real. Then Alex reached out and pulled her into a hug. She froze for a second, then held on like she'd been waiting years for it. I looked away, not because it was painful, but because it felt too private to witness. Later, the 3 of us sat around the fire pit as the sun went down. We didn't talk about the reunion or the wedding or who was right. We just talked about normal things, work, food, movies. It felt strange and easy at the same time. Before we left, Alex said, next summer, we should do this again. Just us. No schedules, no expectations. Chloe smiled. I'd like that. So would I. Driving home that night, I thought about how families break in small ways, not just big fights. It's the missed calls, the unsaid apologies, the pride that gets in the way. But sometimes, if you're lucky, the cracks don't mean it's over. They just mean you have to learn to fit together differently. When I got home, I sent a message to our old group chat, Lake Crew 2026. For the first time in a long time, both of them replied, I'm in.